any chatting if there's, as always, any glitches or things with music. So if you would please come into a child's pose on your mat. So we come on to this mat and offer intentions of creating sacred time with the body, sacred time with the mind, and sacred breathing. This is an honoring. It truly is a honoring. I hesitate to use the word ritual, but ritual in the sense of a habitual practice that has deeper meaning, that has a deep meaning, and because of that, it is repeated for its qualities of depth and higher qualities of life that it brings. Is reverence for the body and practice of quieting the mind and building the breath. And so there's a pause here at the beginning to honor that. And bringing your mind back ages at the beginnings of yoga, the yoking of your mind, yoking of your heart, the yoking of all aspects of your personality and behavior, so that you line up with divine energy, divine purpose. And a reverence for all beings. May they be happy, may they be healthy, may they be free, living a life of ease. Yoga is an 8-limb practice, which I won't go into the details, but we're practicing a few limbs. We'll be doing the breath limb, pranayama. So as we rest here in the child's pose, breathing with your lips sealed, or in a breathing pattern that works best for you, that's slow and deliberate. I'm thinking of the inhale as an ah, and the exhale as an o. So the ujjayi breath, lips sealed, breathing in the ah, and breathing out the o. But there's no sound coming out of the mouth. It's just simply placing that awareness of the vowels in the back of the throat. So the limb of breath, and then the limb of movement, or asana, which translates to postures. Asanas are postures. And we're going to take a very slow sun salutation in the yin form. So coming from a state of reverence from your child's pose up onto hands and knees. And stretching legs back like a cat or a dog that's just coming up from a nap. You want to be aware of that alignment of spine. So placing the hands under the shoulders, splaying the fingers, the knees, having space under the hips. Drawing inward, the belly button back to spine, the perineum up into the body, and finding this neutral, balanced. Just focusing your eyes somewhere on the mat. a sense of stillness and balance. You're aware of the 4 points of your limbs on the floor, on your mat. And as you draw the belly button even further back, drawing it up to the ceiling, locking now your chin to your chest, exhale all the air out. And then release all of those bandhas back through neutral and into the cow. And then exhale, closing off the throat, the belly button, and the perineum. Inhale, release, open the gates. And exhale, close those gates again. Squeeze all the air out. Inhale, ah. Exhale, O. One more time. Ah. And no. Tucking your toes behind you, sitting on your heels, gathering the wrists together and spiraling through soft, drippy fingers like a waterfall, flipping over itself. Let's reverse that flow. Equalize the pressure in the toes, so from the small toe into the big toe here. So leaning back a little, let's flip the palms now facing forward, pressing in, rounding, equalizing the pressure in the toes. And then releasing, coming into downward facing dog and pedal your heels here. Now you can opt out for doing down dog and do down dog against the wall. So that's just very simply coming to the wall and going to a place where you feel that you're not going to tip over, but just enough for the shoulders. Not everyone is going to be a fan of the down dog. And there will be variations here. So one leg straight, hold, grounding the heel, and reversing here. And I realize I have my socks on. So if you have socks on, I'm going to recommend, unless they're grippy, to take them off. There's always that possibility that you could slide and injure yourself, and why take a chance? Coming to your tippy toes and very slowly walking. Bend your knees as you need to. We're still warming up. Coming to the top of your mat. And if you have a chair, you can always be using a chair here as well. So opting out for going all the way to the floor and using a chair, going to your elbows. I'll have both on hand to show you some options. Of course, a block is also an option as well. So we're going to slowly, as you soften your knees and round up, and we're going to spend a few moments and breaths and rounding the spine. So just simply coming to standing, and then it begins again rolling down through the spine, starting at the neck, then the upper back. We're going slow. We're reaching about the middle back. And the forward fold, the gravity is taking. We're nearing now the low back. And now the waist. Allowing the
body to give over to gravity. And then once you find your balance, softening, we're coming back, low back, middle back, getting to the upper middle back, upper back,
Shoulders up, down, neck is the last portion. So really nice and slow. Here we go.
and then once you're dipping over, you're surrendering that weight. Like a thread is connected to the crown of your head, and it's just dripping over heavy, all the bones coming apart slightly.
Not in a hurry here, grounding the feet, scrunch your toes to stay grounded one more time. Very methodically.
The snake of the vertebra, imagining like those wooden snakes that you would buy, those old-fashioned wooden snakes at the souvenir shop or the gas station. I guess they're made out of plastic now, maybe, if they even make them anymore. So as we go through the salutation, very important that the bandhas, with the exception of the Jalahara bandha. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. I need to back up the camera. I didn't realize that. My bad. Hold on. Give me just a minute here. I'm just standing. My bad. I'm so sorry. I was so in the zone, I didn't even know where I was. So as we go through these, Jalahara Bandha is one gate. The other one, of course, is the Uddiyana Bandha. And then we have the Mula Bandha, which is the perineum. It's kind of in the middle of these two. These must be engaged as you move through these movements. And it's just a slight tucking in and pushing back. Doesn't need to be so aggressive, but it does need to be engaged. So we begin our sun salutation yin style. So ground the feet, bringing your hands at your heart center, Anjali Mudra, and push your hands together. Thumbs are going to press into your breastbone, right between the breasts at the sternum, and push in and push the hands together, and just feel that engagement in the shoulders, rolling the shoulders back and down, long neck, so the chin is slightly tucked in, tucked in, and the crown of your head is drawing up. Feel your belly button now get engaged and pull back, your Mula Bandha. So like that marionette, you can imagine lifting up, and then at your tailbone, there's another string or cord, and it's drawing you down. So feel those 2 points lifting and drawing you down. And hug a midline. So the hands are hugging the midline. Everything else can hug the midline as you lift up and ground down, root down through your big toes, root down through the mound of your baby toe, root down on the left and the right side of your heels. So picture 4 wheels on a car on your feet. Yeah, so spending all this time just on posture. So you can feel the length and the activation. All right, here you go. So inhale, arms are reaching up. Interlace your fingers, interlace and extend your index finger, and we go from side to side, little willow bends. Inhale, back center. Exhale as you willow bend. I'm just hanging out here a few times, bending side to side. Bandhas in, increasing the strength and stability of your spine. Push into your 4 wheels on your feet. Feel that stability as you get a little more daring in your side bend. In and out. And reaching your arms back to center, releasing the hands so that your palms face back behind you. Lift your chest, lift your gaze, and begin to look up as you little back bend, reaching those arms back. Bond is in, hugging the midline, four wheels on the car. It's active, spiraling the hands back. And then stomach crunch, or engage the forward fold, and we go all the way down, either to your chair, to a block, or to the floor, depending what feels right for you. We're going to hang out in forward fold with a little variation. So as you inhale, look up, and as you exhale, forward fold back. So if you're on a chair, you're simply going to come up to your hands and then back down to your elbows. If you're on a block, same idea. Inhale, lengthen and straighten-ish the back of your knees. Some people will feel comfortable with this, some not. But we want to lengthen out the tendons and the ligaments there. We're not in a hurry. Breathing in ah. Breathing out O. Think of your hips in alignment with your heels, so shift your weight forward into the ball of your foot. You might even feel that your heels can lift a little bit. And that will increase the stretch in the back of your legs, so forewarning. Last time, inhale, lengthen up. I'm going to take that right leg all the way back behind you, so bend your knees, releasing any locking. We're going to come down to the knee. We hold out right here. Again, you can use a chair, you can use a block. I'm going to ask you to unhinge the back toes and come onto the top of your foot. And we hold here. We've got an extending on the right hip and a flexing in the left hip. So enjoy the stretch here. So some friends will stay with their hands grounded on the mat or the chair. Some friends bringing your hands freely onto the knee. Notice how my ankle and my knee are not too far off of stacking of one another. In other words, if your ankle is back here and you have your knee, that's not going to give you as great a stretch or as juicy in the hips and in the flexors as if you have your knee stacked on your ankle. So give that some attention or just awareness. And then from here, some friends taking one arm up and back for a half moon. Both arms up and back, crescent moon, not full moon, crescent moon. Bond is in, breath engaged. And releasing here, we're stepping back. So tucking your toe, stepping back, lift the knee. From just a moment of plank, I don't want to hang out in plank, we come back down to the knees. Here we are at cat-cow or knees. Table, that's what I was trying to look for, tabletop. A couple of cat-cows here. So I want you to go into a cow and then come down onto your elbows, and you're going to do this scooping through onto your belly. And that should put you in Sphinx pose. So we start out in Sphinx pose. We're going to hang out here. Lower as you exhale, Sphinx. Bond is in, squeeze your tushy, and lift up as you inhale. Exhale brings you down. As you come down, slide your hands towards your body a few inches, 1 or 2 inches. We're going to do this in chapters. Now roll the shoulders up and back. Relying less on the hands, more in the back. Exhale as you go down. Inhale as you lift up. Sliding the hands another 2 inches back. Hug the elbow in. Squeeze and hug your rib cage with your elbows coming up. Exhale down. Seal. Last time, hands slide back, all the way back here. Hug the elbows in, pointing up to the ceiling, and lift. So this is in the back. It's not the hands, it's not the arms, because at some point you could come up and lift your hands. So the hands are just as a guidepost. They've got a little bit going on there, but really this is it. And now, bandhas in, pressing back into child's pose. And just bringing to mind that beginning where we begin with the child's pose, creating the sacred space. No worries or problems right now. There's nothing like that to think about. There's nothing to figure out in your life or someone else's. Practice asks that you be here now as we honor this body. We come back out of the child's pose. And from tabletop, we're going to bring that right foot forward into the lunge. Get a good lunge so that you can get that ankle knee stacked. And we go, it's the opposite side, but we're finishing up the down dog, the sun salutation. Stay here, or friends can go to the knee. It depends on whether you feel strong here. It's not necessary to take the arms back, but you can for that crescent pose. And as you lift your neck, you'll also be working the muscles here in the throat and in the neck. So as you lift, and then dropping the hands, framing the front foot, tuck your back toes, and step forward. We're back into that forward fold, and we're going to hang out in forward fold. Shift your weight into the ball of your foot, and spending a few breaths. Inhale, looking up halfway, and exhale, folding. Sealed lips. Inhale, ah. Exhale, O. Light in the heels. Last time. Soften your knees, and from your Uddiyana Bandha, drop, rise from your spine up. Inhale, arms reach up, and we'll do those little bitty willows from side to side. Grounded. Bandhas in. Inhale, center. Exhale as you bend. And coming back to center, and the hands come back into that Anjali Mudra or prayer pose, pushing the hands into each other and hugging that midline. So we've made it through one sun salutation. And we'll do that again. This time the left side will lead. So Inhale, rise. And we'll do 4 of the willows. In other words, 2 on each side. Coming back into center and swan dive, nice long spine. Take your time, and we'll do 4 of the looking out and up as you inhale. So Ardha Uttanasana, exhale Uttanasana. Oh. This time it's the left leg that lunges back, left knee down, and crescent of your choice. And I'm going to take it easy and just be on the framing of the front foot here. Let's do 5 more breaths. We're going to take our time in the crescents. This is also a time when you could use 2 blocks, one on each side of your hands, or pillows or books, makeshift something. Not everybody's arms are going to be going down in a way that works. So tucking now the back toes, lifting and shifting into a plank, and immediately from plank just going into a few cat-cows, releasing any tension in the spine. Going into a cow or arcing in the back and coming down to those forearms, ready for a scooping forward. So like you're rolling a marble with your nose, and you're going to come into Sphinx pose. So here we go. Inhale. Exhale, lower, slide those hands a little closer to your body. Inhale. Exhale. Sliding just another inch. Take your time. Hug your elbows in. Very important, shoulders down. So roll those shoulders up, glide the blades down, and then come up. Last time. And press back into child's pose, and we'll hold here. Final 5 breaths, bringing back to mind the sacredness of this time with yourself, and more importantly, your inner guidance. And that subtle energy that guides us, our moral compass. And as we
continue the flow, finishing. It is the left foot forward lunge into the crescent once again. And just by the way, if you had a chair, you would just bring that chair right in. I like a good stool. Having a nice cushioned stool helps so much with yoga poses. So some days are easier than others. Some years are different from others. So I hope you can feel that your yoga practice, as your life changes, as your aging changes, that you will still be feeling the practice is kind to you by using tools, all these things. Allowing patience and subtlety. And we reorganize muscle to the bone. And tucking the back toes. And then situating yourself. You might take it slowly, maybe little bitty hops forward, and then eventually finding your way to that forward fold. And we'll do 4 Ardha Uttanasanas and 4 Uttanasanas. So that's halfway looking up and then forward fold. Bandhas in, lips sealed. And slowly on your next inhale, soften your knees and rise. And we'll do 4 of the willows, 2 on each side. So exhale as you bend. And then the Anjali Mudra, or hands in prayer pose, or seal mudra, translating to seal. We seal the area, digging the thumbs into the sternum. So I'd like to do some balance since we're standing here. If you're on a squishy mat or carpet, you get a little extra challenge. So kudos to you. I am on carpet as well. So we'll see how that goes. And let's do a traditional tree pose, either an actual tree or a sapling, but we want to avoid the knee joint. So don't put your foot on your knee, either above the knee or below. And use a wall or a chair or a friend. If you're practicing with a friend, you can go hand to hand or whichever side you're on and do. I like doing tree poses where we're all supporting each other. There's an incredible documentary, and I've watched a few now. Scientists are studying the fungus, the network of communication that the trees use underground. When one tree is in need, this highway communication of fungus communicates to the other trees around it, hey, this tree's not doing so good, let's send it something that it's asking for. And so there's this community of shared intellect, shared wisdom in nature, that we're all in it together, that no tree is alone, no one is left behind, no tree left behind. And if you're not feeling burning in your ankle, then you've been practicing. Congratulations. Remember, practice is the only
difference between having and having not. There's no magic body, it's just a body that's been practicing. So releasing from your tree on that side, spending a moment of recovery, and when you're ready, we'll go to the other side here. Part of balance is finding a focus point for your eyes. So for this time, I'm not going to talk the whole time. Bandha's in, and find your dristi or your concentration focus point with your eyes. And then the tree is the eagle. So we go from tree into eagle pose, switching to the other leg. And I'll let the arms be optional. So if you're going to stay with if you're going to do the optional arms, you're rotating your elbows one under the other. In this case, I have my right one, but it can be whichever. And then crossing the knee over. Maybe you'll tuck your toes, maybe not. So eagle pose. Dristi activated. And you could play a little experiment with yourself as you start thinking about other things. I'll wager that your balance is compromised because you're out of the present moment. So great thing about balance is it forces you into the present. And the more you are, the better you'll be, because you're in your ankle, you're in your trunk, hugging and squeezing. All right, so we'll let the eagle expand and fly away, ready for the opposite side. So just switch everything. This is a good one for the joints. So besides the good balance pose, it's you're wrapping your joints around. So yay. And the fatigue is a good thing. So if you're already really painting out, it's okay. I wanted you to go to fatigue. All right, let me just check our timing. So let's take it down. We're going to take it down to the mat now. And I'd like to, let's go ahead and come down. We'll do our forward fold. No, I'll tell you what, we'll do our, some things continuing for the spine, some twists. So as you sit here, we're going to go nice and slowly down through the vertebra of the spine. We kind of did this the other day for low back. So hands under the knees and the elbows kind of out to the side. So you're going to make a little round ball with your spine. Ground the feet. You can even stick them under the couch and then push into your waistband as if you're pushing your spine. And then drop your head forward and reach your head forward and just get a nice length out of your spine, and especially there at the low back. And then come back, nice long spine here. Exhale, push that spine, pull the blades apart, but the head is forward so you're not going to fall backward. And inhale, release. Shoulders up and back and down one last time. Draw the belly button back. Draw the Mula Bandha up. You can even lock your chin in here so we can have all three gates. And now we're going to hold and go all the way down to your mat and hug in. All right. So if you're anything like I'm feeling, some good heat happened in this class today, although I would dare say it was a high energy class, but we certainly generated heat in the body. And so a nice, I'd like to do a happy baby pose before we go into our twist. So that's reaching on the inside for your ankles. Now, traditionally, we reach on the inside for the sole of the feet, or on the arch side, but there's another one where you can reach for the blade on the other side, and you really got to get a little more into it if this is available to you. Try this one out. Still breathing with the ah and the o. And then from happy baby, I like to do I call it ornery baby. So one leg is going to straighten out and push through the heel, and then the opposite leg. Which eventually then leads into a full blooming lotus. Blooming against the wall. So let's do that. There we go. Spine is long and imprinted. You can also hold on the outer edge rather than the feet. Last 3 breaths right here. Surrender. And we bring the knees in and placing both knees over to one side of your mat. So as you place them over to the one side, turn your head to the opposite side. Just recognize that in stillness, your mind may be like, ooh, I get to think and go anywhere I want to go. So just remember the sacredness, the practice. It's still, you're still here practicing concentration of mind. And it's okay that the mind wanders. That's part of the nature. The wisdom and the finesse is having the ability to wield that mind. And coming back through center and maybe spending a moment at center before taking it to the opposite side. Well, the breath is still with the ah. The shape of the ah is in the mouth as you inhale. As you exhale, the shape of the O.
As we transition in a moment to the final pose, which is the corpse pose or the Shavasana. So making your way into that, and rather than seeing it as a passive pose, which it is a passive pose, but requires an active awareness of the mind. So allowing it to be active without following down the pathways of the thought. You know, there's some thoughts that will get you ruminating. There's some thoughts that will remind you of something you need to do or something that you should have said. All of these things will start to create a story within you, and then 10 minutes later, 10 minutes of your life has been missed. You've missed out. And that's when people accidentally drive home when they meant to go to the grocery store, or that's when people cut themselves, like if you're doing something with a sharp knife and your mind is somewhere else, or this is when you misplace your keys. This is when life becomes a little more chaotic than it needs to be. And so this practice of presence, awareness of the language of the mind, the function of your mind, the conditioning of the mind. So enjoy your active Shavasana. It's a way of watching the picture show of your mind. And just in this final minute of your Shavasana, the transition from the sacred space of your mat, of your practice, will then translate into your everyday normal lifestyle. Just picture ahead of yourself how you can keep an undercurrent, the practice of yoga, whatever aspects of it are most important to you, how you can integrate. So it really becomes now the beginning of your practice. It begins as the class ends. This is just where you get your reminders of what aspects can be applied then to your real life, and you create a representation for those around you. You be that in the world for others to observe. And
So we share that energy with others without saying a word. Simply hold the space, hold the energy of the yoga, the yoking to the divine within. So coming out of the heart of the Shavasana that is still, and we'll move into a seated pose with Anjali Mudra. Hands once again, please. So, Anjali Mudra, the seal at the heart, and bowing the head to this heart center. If you would like to take your video off and unmute, we'll do an om, the o as a representation of the sacred practice that's collected, but also the body resonates. Your water of your cells are going to resonate with your vocal folds, and it is a delicious sensation for your body. So allow that healing vibration to move through you as you allow your breath to rise inside. Have a lovely night, everyone. Namaste to you.
Namaste.